So how did we come to working together and really identifying this next step?
I believe that I planted the seed while you were in college. And then once you got your first full-time position, you were doing recruiting, and specifically in technology. And I know that throughout the years, I kept asking you to join, and you kept telling me no. And then finally you decided to join the team.
Yeah, I think for me, when you would ask me, it kind of was like I knew that at some point I would say yes. Pretty persistent. And I think there was a specific moment when I was working internally at a previous company that I was like, maybe I should go back home and maybe I should kind of take this more seriously. And I think at that pivotal moment was when we had a conversation about a business plan that I kind of came to you with that was like a little bit different than maybe what we're doing here, what you were doing, before me, but really what the future looked like if we were to put our superpowers together. And I think from there is when, we both kind of identified, is this the right time for us? Is this something that can we really contribute to this together? Are we in the right space to have that confidence in each other? Because I think the honesty that we share in our personal lives, we're always very transparent with each other.
Exactly.
How would that identify when we work together?
True. Yes. Well, it's been wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah, no, of course.
What makes our partnership different from other recruiting teams, do you think?
I think we also motivate each other. We're a little bit competitive.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that we push each other in the right way.
Yes.
But we also hold each other accountable. If I had advice, it's like, would you be open to my perspective? Because I think that we respect each other's opinions, and we don't let that affect our business decisions, I would say, but we want to hear what each other say.
And I think that also what I think is different than other recruiting firms is that because you and I are from different generations, and we respect each other's opinion. Basically, you're just saying that, but it's just more of, your perception on things are different than mine. But the two of us, we align together. We discuss it and make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the key part is when you're working with us to our clients and our candidates is you're getting, different perspectives of people. So the value is you're getting, I'm not going to say old school, but you're getting a traditional approach to recruiting and staffing as you kind of started your career in, but then you're also getting new age, which is kind of the transition of where the whole, industry is shaping is my perspective of, from millennial at least, because I mean, it is still very different whether you're going to ask a Gen Z or Alpha, which is the next generation's coming. They might have a different perspective on what's coming. But I think that blended between me and you really is pivotal to the workforce today.
I agree.
So did either of us worry about mixing family and business?
Absolutely. I was very concerned about that because you and I are so close, on a personal level, obviously,
Right.
that I did not want it to affect that. So yes, I was worried about that. I remember having the conversation with you. We had to set boundaries to make sure that, work is work and personal is personal.
Not bringing it off to the kitchen table on Sundays.
Yes, exactly. Which we still kind of do.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, poor Ed and poor Brian.
Yes.
But I think they're happy to listen sometimes because they also have interesting perspectives too.
Yeah.
I think for me, it wasn't necessarily about could I do the position. Like I knew I was very well qualified to go back to agency. I can't lie and say that I wasn't nervous because when you're in internal for a few years, it's a completely different role. It's a lot more analytical. It's a lot more, I'm going to call it red tape, but you have to kind of, advise, but you also need to provide value at all points of when you're working. Like so many data points.
Yeah, when you work in internal recruiting
Correct.
for a company.
Right. And so that was the transition of why I left agency to begin with, because I thought that would have been valuable to when, again, hopefully someday working with you, I could provide that insight because I think having that understanding when you're working with clients and you're usually working with HR or like a talent acquisition member, it's like, I remind them, I've sat in your seat. I know your perspective and I understand who you're reporting to, and I know that not all the time that you're going to be able to give me fast responses or decisions or the things that we as agency recruiters are probably in the inbox, like any update or where are things at. And I think I remind myself I was in that seat. So that perspective, I think, is key again to a value point of why you can work with us, or me particularly, is because I've seen both sides.
That's right. That's great.
Yeah. But I guess the other worry that I might have had is like the expectation of, am I going to be doing enough? Am I going to be hitting the goals that I have? You know, I feel like you have high expectations for all of our teammates, but as your son, I think it's even higher,
It
which
is.
right. I mean, like you said, I think having your name on the door opens doors for sure. People, I think, respect it more. I mean, there's all, you know, the times where people are asking, how are you related to the founder? Or, you know, how long have you been working there? Or whatever it is. And I think I take it very seriously when I show up to networking events, or if we're doing marketing like this, or video content, or we're being quoted in Albany Business Review, or whatever it is. I take it seriously. And I think that might have been a concern for you too.
It was definitely, yes, absolutely. Chris, you know that because I'm a middle child with two of my sisters, I'm all about not showing favoritism because I
Right.
have that middle child syndrome, that I'm always very fair
Right.
in my mind, so that with my team, I want to make sure that I don't show favoritism. And so with you joining the team, I, had you start just like everybody else started. And
Which I loved.
I do hold you more accountable because you are my son, because you have your last name, that I want to make sure that you do exactly, how I would do it.
Right. I think holding people to high expectations is never a bad thing. As a leader, I think not pushing, it's the wrong word, but kind of motivating people and acknowledging their strengths, and kind of also acknowledging, okay, like these are areas for growth. There's a way to do it, and I think you do it the right way, not just with me, but with our team. I've seen a different perspective of you as a entrepreneur and as a founder, that I was like, oh wow, I've never thought about it before, or I've never actually seen you live in your world. And I think as your son, like, it's just so empowering, honestly, to like see you shine.
Oh, you're doing amazing, and you're definitely giving me a run for my money.
Love it. Gonna keep doing it.
I know.
The best is yet to come.
What's the best part of working together as a family, and what's the hardest?
I think the best part is the fun that we're having, because I think we have fun every day, but we're learning about each other in a different way. Because again, when I used to come home and tell you about when I was on the agency side, like the successes that I was having, I mean, I think you were always like, oh, like, not that I was lying, or maybe I was exaggerating or whatever, but like, you didn't see the data. So I think now you see the data and you're like, oh, he wasn't just.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So
yes. No, you're right. I'm seeing you in action.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Love it. So that part, I think, is the best part, is because I think that dynamic of like really seeing us in where we're supposed to be, and like utilizing our strengths. And I don't know, there's something that I think I'll carry with me the rest of my life, is like this key moment of when it all started, and like looking back at that and being like, oh, this is where we were then, but like where we're going is just like, that's the motivation. Because if we're doing what we're doing now, and this is only like year 2,
I know.
there's so much more that we can do and that we
Yes.
can accomplish together.
Right. And what's the hardest?
I mean, I think the hardest is just sometimes finding that balance of like, do I say what I feel, or should I take the time and let it all play out before I give my opinion? Because at the end of the day, I might think that what my perspective is right, but you've been in business successfully for 15 years. And even before that, you've just always been driven. So I think there's something to say about knowing when to, not exchange, but like provide that insight. And also not overstepping boundaries. bringing it home or leaving it at the office.
And the same with me. I mean, there's times that I want to be able to pick up the phone, which unfortunately I know I do when I shouldn't, late at night or weekends. But
I do too.
But I do at times do think about that. Like,
Right.
should I not call him, ask a question? So it's hard to not be on call 24/7. We work together.
Right.
We have dinners together. I mean, thankfully you don't live in the same house.
Not anymore, no.
Because we'd have no, separation.
Exactly. But I think we're finding that. And I think that space is what is going to identify other areas for you in your life of like, what else do you want to do?
Right.
Like, you love nonprofits and you love supporting women, entrepreneurs, and the youth. And I think that is where that space is going to open up for you, because it's providing you, okay, now that you've done your, first baby in terms of a business, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure there's other things that you want to do.
Yes,
and so
there
you're
is.
starting to think like, okay, well, if Chris has got this, in good hands, or the trajectory is there,
Right.
what does the next
Yes.
chapter look like for you?
And I have ideas, but we won't share them today.
Do we ever disagree on business decisions?
Yes, and you know this, because you tend to like to spend money more than I do on marketing. And I have to
Here we
kinda-
are.
Yes. And I have to reel you in, though you always give me the ROI and why we should be doing it.
Right.
And so we typically meet in the middle and discuss,
It's true.
what needs to, our budgets and what's, our
Priorities.
plans. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think most decisions that come, that's where I think a lot of the back and forth is like, yes, definitely the marketing, but I think there are a lot of agreements that we do share in terms of like where we're going with the business, how we want to like design it, and where we want to position ourselves.
True. Yes.
That's where I think there is cohesion, which I feel like those are more important decisions to be agreeable on than. I mean, budget is important, coming from an accounting background, of course.
Yes, that's true.
As a
That's
marketing
true.
background, I'm thinking, let's
Which
think
brings me
creatively.
to a question of our strengths, right?
Right.
What strengths do we each bring to Walrath Recruiting?
Well, I think yours is definitely analytical. If there is a scent missing from something, you know it within an instinct. You sniff that out. So I think having someone that is very operational, fiscal, and knows where things are.
Because of my accounting degree from Siena College.
Yes, exactly. And I think for me, at least where I think I play strengths is definitely like the marketing and the redesign of our like website and the logos, and also just the positioning of our brand. I think our brand marketing and kind of our identification within the industry and the community.
I feel like, yes, you have your degree in marketing, and that has helped with the creative side for our organization. Though I think also the background of working for other companies for the past 10 years that you've done,
Yeah.
the experience that you've learned and you've brought to the business has been invaluable.
My first job was like community manager of a startup. And what a community manager pretty much does is everything from marketing, communications, business development. I mean, I started that startup, which is still around, their staffing and recruiting model. So at that moment, that was really when I was like, I need to be a recruiter, because when I first graduated, I was like, let me do marketing.
Yes.
As marketing degree candidates or new grads, they wanted to work in marketing because
Of course they do, yeah.
we just studied that for 4 years.
Right.
So we want to try it out. But the more I kept getting into that position, I was like, I like working with people. I like finding them positions. And so then when I moved into an actual like full service recruiting agency, I think is where I learned that skill set of really how to be a recruiter 101. And I think because you taught yourself how to be a recruiter. I mean, you just kind of jumped in and worked as a recruiter and
Right.
figured it out as it went.
Right, and then opened my own business.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think having that recruiting 101 like training, not from you, but from someone else,
Yes.
is where that was kind of a pivotal thing. Because I think, not to say that you weren't able to train me, but it would have been different.
Yes, absolutely.
And then from there, obviously working in agency for 6 years and then going internal for 2.5 years, this is where I started to identify the marketing again. Because I was like, I can create something that is of value to not just candidates, because yes, that I was hiring internally, but you also had to show value internally to your hiring managers, to your general managers, and kind of really start to think about how do we get access and how do we think more broadly about what is recruiting or talent acquisition really? What is it actually?
Yes. So taking the skills that you learned
Right.
and then bringing it back, and then the skills that I have,
Right.
and morphing it together
Right.
makes us extremely powerful.
I think so.
And we're both so knowledgeable in our industry that that's a benefit as well.
Right. Because I think the most fun experience so far on the recruiting side has been working across all the industries that we do.
Yes.
And coming from a tech background, it was mostly platform engineering, software engineering, AI, data science, like all these big keywords that in the early, mid to 2000s, everyone was like, what is that? The market is shifting. Technology looks completely different.
Right.
But I think learning new industries like manufacturing, logistics, transportation, engineering, construction, like I didn't have any of those experiences, but yeah, I've been able to be successful in partnering with those clients.
Yes.
So that's what makes up our region, but the areas that are growing are those areas.
And you've also been able to bring in a lot of new business with startups and,
Right. The venture area is very exciting, especially in this region with the whole Quantum Valley coming through here with the chips, and it's crazy, but I'm trying my best to keep my finger on it.
Yeah. Thank you.
For me, obviously, having all of that experience working for multiple agencies, working internal, gave me the knowledge that I'm now bringing to our company now. I would love to kind of hear more about from your side.
Well, like you said earlier, I did this all on my own. I started in one little room and I figured out recruiting. So having you come and join and bring best practices on top of the practices that I built has been, great for the team.
I think you worked for a family business before.
Yes, I did.
And you understand that dynamic of your name on the door, but in a different way.
Worked for your grandfather who built a successful business. And so like you're saying, yes, I worked for a family business and I understand. And he would always remind us that it's a family, name, even though it wasn't their last name on the door,
right.
But it was his business.
Right.
And was his baby, just
right.
like Walrath Recruiting is mine.
Exactly. And I think from that, your version of a startup, you saw it built, the
yes.
physical building from the ground up. And then you had to take that shot for yourself and you had to move on from that company and go internal of what you were doing to a larger company.
Working from a family business.
Correct.
And then going into accounting for a larger corporation.
Right.
And then starting in recruiting. And staffing.
So would you say your expertise is in accounting?
No. I mean, my degree's in accounting.
Right.
And I like accounting. I don't love accounting. I love recruiting. I love what I do. It's like I'm not even going to work every day. That's
right.
how much I love it. I love helping people and making companies grow by adding value, value employees.
No, of course.
And helping people, advance their career by getting them successful jobs.
And then you're exactly where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm where I'm supposed to be, just like you.
What's one thing you've learned from me since we started working together?
Hey, you actually really do work hard. No, because, you would
Do you think I was lazy?
No, I never thought you were lazy.
Okay.
I just, you work really hard.
I do.
You work crazy hours like me.
Yes.
And there's days I think you work longer hours than me.
Probably. I don't mind going to an office as a millennial, calling that out there. Don't mind going to an office. Like going to an office, especially right now with our renovations. Like, I like seeing our team. I like investing in our team.
Yes.
I like seeing them grow.
Yeah.
And I like seeing some of the similar experiences that I saw when I was starting in recruiting. And I was like, the frustrations or the, not anxiety, but like,
roller coaster ride.
Yes.
Yeah.
just
roller coaster
am I
ride.
doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Is it me? Is it them? Which I think it's still, as humans, it's the exchange. It's the trust that you're building. You need to be able to disarm people and know that we're on both sides. I'm there to help the candidate get
Right.
the position,
Yes.
but I'm also there for my client to find the right person,
Right.
and whatever that looks like.
And always do the right thing.
Always do the right thing and be honest and be transparent and make sure that you're holding yourself accountable too.
Right.
Because sometimes it's not always about making the placement. You have to say, maybe this isn't the right fit.
Right. We don't want to be transactional. We want to be transformational.
Exactly.
What did you learn from me?
Patience with the approach to clients.
Okay. Yes. You needed to learn patience to work
I
with
was
our
on the
clients.
New York City mindset,
Yes, you
and we
were.
move quick.
I remember you saying to me, wow, Mom, the people around here, they're not as fast-paced as from New York City. And I said, no, Chris, and you can't push them like that because this is not
I
New York
still
City.
like to push a little bit.
Yeah, but no.
I think people sometimes appreciate the persistence that I have, though,
Yes.
because I feel like that's
But
you.
well, yes, I am very persistent, but I also I know my clients well enough
Right, it's
to
true.
know who I can push and who I can't push. And now that you have your own clients, you bring clients in, you know which ones
Right.
you can
Like
push.
we're doing with that C-suite role right now.
Yes.
Like you have the candidates and it's my client. It's honestly so fluid and I love it. We're there to make sure that we're getting it done.
Exactly.
So it's all in the namesake of finding the right person
True.
because
Very
we're
true.
dedicated to the perfect fit.
Exactly. Our slogan, dedicated to the perfect fit. Chris, I see the same passion and drive that I had when I started my business, and even today in you, I see in myself. At times, it might seem intense, but it's only because we truly care about our clients
Absolutely.
and our candidates. We want to make sure that they both are happy.
Yeah, it's not always just about the placement itself, right? It's really about our reputation and making sure that the fit is truly aligned with not just the culture or the job description, but really, is there longevity for this person on where they want to go long term in their career, and vice versa? Is this an investment? Because that's what it is. Any hire is an investment for a company. Is this
Correct.
investment going to have the ROI that I want to receive?
Right.
And so I understand the passion that we both have because we are so we care about what we do.
Yes. And our reputation is everything. And we have a very good reputation out there.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have had stepping into a business. I tell people this all the time. I'm the lucky one because I'm stepping into a very tenured company that people respect, that people know that there's quality coming from.
Yes.
And that is you. That is you. You're the company. I mean, we have employees, but people know the company for you. So that just goes to show the influence that you have and the way that people look at you. So carrying that is
Yes.
amazing.
Well, as I always told you, we always do the right thing, and you do too.
Absolutely. So do you have a funny or memorable story of us working together?
Most recently, yes, actually, was when you came into my office. I'm working on a C-level role for a client of yours, and you were trying to tell me how to do my job. And I turned around and I looked at you and said, yes, Renee, I have it under control. Because then I realized at that moment that I started laughing because I'm thinking, oh, wow, is that how I am? Because I have to change. So I thought it was kind of funny, that role reversal, I guess.
Exactly.
little-
But I think it shows you that I care.
Yes.
And that I just want to make sure that, again, we're providing value. Not that I don't think you know what you're doing. I know you know what you're doing, but you're also running a business and you have a lot of things that you are responsible for. And so it's just more, since it's the client that I know very, very well, there's a way to communicate to them or an approach.
Again, you care.
Right.
And you care about the client.
Exactly.
And
We've made a lot of placements with them and they're very happy with our services. They've referred a lot of people to us.
Again, I'm just showing that you care about your clients and we care about our candidates. And again, it's not all about transaction, it's about transformation, right?
Exactly. So when clients come to us, what do you think they're really looking for in a recruiting agency or like a partner?
I'm looking for a few things. A lot of our clients come to us without a job description, as you know. Some of us come to us and they need help with the job description, but really what they're looking for, I think, is someone they can trust and someone that will really help them find the right fit for their organization. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think they also really want people to be honest with them, because I think a lot of times they assume that, old job descriptions are still going to be useful today. And, if the last time you hired the position was 10 years ago, the role is very different.
Absolutely.
Compensation is very different. Candidates are very different. And I think that guidance is really what they want. They want people to be honest and transparent, but also help guide them of where they're going. Because a lot of our clients are not, thousands of employees. Most of them are hundreds and even smaller sometimes, which is like they've never used an agency before or even have an internal recruiter or HR. And so those are the fun ones for me, at least.
Yes, no, you're right. A lot of them need guidance on pay. Am I paying my people right?
Right.
And
Benefits.
Benefits is huge today.
Yes.
And I've actually had clients, I'm sure you have, ask, do these benefits seem fair,
Right.
in our industry across the board? And we honestly will tell them whether they're in line or not.
And then we can connect them with our other solutions that we have, because we do have resume writing, we have comp analysis, we do learning and development. There's a lot of other HR solutions that we're able to actually provide our clients, which I think makes us unique.
Yes, I agree. Recruiting has changed so much in the last 5 years. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, since 2020, absolutely. What's really changed, which is not only the work environment of like remote. I mean, remote was always still around before 2020. At least in my world of technology, people were working from home since, probably 10 years before that. But I think the voice of, oh, I can work remote, that is something that I can do, has definitely become dominant in a conversation. But also I think the candidates' expectations of their employers, they're holding them accountable more.
Yeah.
Because the workforce looks completely different. The people that are in the workforce are completely different. And what I mean by that is the skills that they have are not just everyone goes to college after high school. Everyone has the same degrees. Our workforce is diverse. Our workforce is made up of veterans. It's made up of returning folk from, maybe they had a baby and they're coming back from the workforce. Maybe they were stay at home, or maybe they're caregiving for an elderly family member, or there's a list, but that is what our workforce is made up of. And so as employers, you have to recognize you need to meet people where they're at. Or if you're not able to meet that specific candidate in all those ways, then maybe they're not the right fit for you.
Right. Or vice versa. I mean, I know what you're saying about clients definitely have to meet in the middle with their expectations for prospective employees, though I feel like at times the employees need to also respect what the needs are for the corporation.
Yes.
There are some businesses that you can't be remote. If you were to say to me, I'm only looking for remote work today, I would say, well, I don't really have many of those remote jobs.
That's fair.
Right? And so I don't think I'm going to be able to help you. Though if you said to me, I'm looking for hybrid or 100% in the office, by all means, we can definitely assist. We are seeing, though, more recent, Chris, I don't know if you would agree with me, is individuals that are wanting to go back to the office who've been remote for so long because they feel like they live, they sleep, they eat, they work, work in the same.
They don't leave their house.
Yeah, and
I would agree with that.
Yeah, they're getting like feeling too isolated.
Right.
So they want to now work in an office.
It's true.
It's like you always want what you don't have, right?
It's true.
So people that when they don't work remote, they think, oh, I want to work remote, but then when it happens, they don't like it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. For me, I prefer definitely being in office for what we do, but I do see both sides, and I think that's what's important. You always have to look at a situation holistically, and you can't put in or implicate biases into your, situation.
Yes.
I think having implicit bias really kind of fogs it up a bit. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And so you
Yes.
really need to like step into a situation where you're curating that with that candidate or the client too, right? That's the experience.
Right.
And then that's where we do our job recs when we're meeting with the client, like, what are your expectations? And we're going to follow those expectations. But we've also seen then clients change their mind
Yeah, that's true.
and see, oh, actually, I might be open to a hybrid person or someone in a different state when originally it was 100% on site.
Right.
So that's kind of the caveat is like, why it's so interesting of what we do, because you kind of always need to then check in again with the client as much as you need to check in with
Your
the
candidates.
candidates. I feel like before it was always checking with the candidates because it was a candidate driven market.
Right. Now
It's flipped.
Yes.
Would you agree?
I 100% agree. Clients are it's definitely not an employee's market. It's an employer's.
Yes.
And you're right.
It's tougher for what we're doing now.
Yes, absolutely.
They want the purple squirrel, as they say.
Yes.
And then we have to educate them on what's achievable.
Yes. Right.
What's realistic.
Yes, realistic. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So there are a lot of people out there job hunting right now. What's one piece of advice you'd give them?
Is to make sure they do their diligence on knowing what they're worth, knowing, researching the market on, the type of roles that they're looking at, and making sure that they're applying to the appropriate roles.
I think it's also having a clear idea on what they want.
Yes, I know.
And
Nothing
staying
like
true to that.
Yes, nothing like interviewing someone who doesn't know what they want.
Yes, I think that is always kind of the value of working with a recruiter, though, for candidates is we're able to really cut down, okay, but what you're really saying is this.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, yeah, wait, that is really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of that. So I think that's the value, which is a free service that we're providing to candidates. You know what I mean?
True.
So with that, I think us holding them accountable and coaching them of like, okay, like, what are you actually looking for?
And sharing by looking at their resume and pulling out their skill set.
Exactly.
And saying, okay, where else could these skills be transferable?
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Right, because how many times have we filled jobs with candidates that on paper might have not been exactly what we thought they were, but then when you dig, you're like, actually, I think you're better for this role.
Yes.
And then it works out and they're thriving a few years later.
And vice versa.
Right.
Resumes that look so good and it's just not right.
A good fit at all.
Right.
Right. Again, the fun, the roller coaster.
Culture fit is a buzzword, but how do you help companies really figure it out?
I think culture fit looks different for every single organization. And so you need to sit down, with the hiring managers or the owners or whoever they are and really be asking them, what are your values? If they can't answer what their values are, then they don't have a culture. And that is something that you have to say, we need to dig on that. Let's explore that. Let's identify your value proposition. Let's identify your values. Let's identify what makes you that company, or if it's not the whole company, what's that team? I always ask the hiring manager, what is your team like? What's that dynamic like? How is it set up? Do you have one-on-ones every week? Are you more kind of, not as like KPI driven? Are you KPI driven? That you can then start to pull values from. So when I say value proposition, sometimes, you're not always working with the CEO. So you want to identify, what does that team look like?
Yes.
So I think it's, again, doing what we do best, asking questions, identifying, okay, on the opposite side, now we're not with the candidate, what their expectations are. You're kind of doing your own candidate interview with your hiring manager and really breaking down, okay, like, let's talk a little bit about the future of your team. Or if that person's been there for a long time, maybe they grew into the position as well. They're adding a lot of insight there too, to what they had before, because an organization's changing all the time. So whether or not that culture would look different 5 years ago and now what it looks like now is also important to share, because I think when you first join companies, it could be one way, but then when you grow with them, it changes.
Yes.
So is that culture still something that you want to be attached to?
That's true.
And that, again, opens up the opportunity for candidates to be open to work that maybe were open to work before, which, again, people like us will pick up the phone and call them and be like, it's like, actually, I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I might be open to a conversation. Being able to call someone and kind of propagate like an idea of like, maybe this could be a really interesting position for you. And then it works out, or even the opposite, maybe they got through the whole, interview process and it didn't work out. And it was like, well, that was meant to be then. Maybe you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be, or maybe that just wasn't a right fit.
Right. Right.
And I love it.
No, that's great.
So what makes a great client recruiter relationship?
Client being the business out there.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we ask questions, a lot of questions, and keep in touch with them quite often, because things can change very quickly. For example, they may hire us, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks into it, they end up finding someone on their own, maybe a past employee. We saw that actually a lot after COVID. A lot of people went back to their former employers
The boomerang.
because the grass wasn't greener somewhere else. So, just keeping in constant contact with them and keeping
Right.
open dialogue and being in front of them.
Do you think that with clients, there's too much? Like, where's the boundary of kind of pushing it too much? Or what I mean is, when we're in that dynamic of like client and us, and sometimes maybe they didn't ask our opinion, or maybe, because we really want to make sure if the candidate's changing their mind or if the role has changed, sometimes it might come off too persistent or that we're asking too many questions. How do you find that balance of making sure that you're respecting their own situation or their own
Yes.
internal processes?
Just asking the question of, I don't mean to pry,
Right.
but why is this position open, right? Or just again being empathetic with the situation, but
Right.
also asking the questions, but not aggressively. I guess
Right.
it's that fine line of being inquisitive, though not pushy or aggressive.
Makes sense. I just think that's helpful for people to know, of like, in general, of like finding that, key balance of like, am I doing too much, or should I like step away? Because I feel like our team, always comes to, whether it's you or me, like, am I saying the right things? Am I doing the right things? And when you're working with executives or like higher managers, you don't want to say the wrong thing or offend anyone.
Sure.
So you always want to keep that professionalism, especially when you're writing emails or over the phone, tone.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. I prefer picking up the phone when there's a situation when you want to ask a question
Right.
it's very serious versus emailing or
Right.
texting.
Misinterpretation.
Right.
I love picking up the phone, talking
Yeah.
to people,
That's
because
good.
yeah. So is there a placement that stands out, especially that's been rewarding for you?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. We placed a gentleman in an entry-level position about 7 or 8 years ago, and today he's now the COO of the organization.
Wow. So that's like the power of like working with an agency like us when we're dedicated to the perfect fit. That's proof right there.
Making sure that the right candidate's in the right seat.
Right. And longevity.
Yes. Yes, that's the long-term value of investing in the right talent. I have a couple weeks ago, I interviewed a woman that, I'd say 5 or 6 years ago. At that time, we didn't have the right fit for her. And then I happened to reach out to her a couple weeks ago and to see if she was open to opportunities, thinking that she was still living here in New York.
Right.
And the irony is that my client has office space in Florida, and where he's headquartered, though he
Right.
has offices here in New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey. And when he said to me, Renee, if you find somebody that's living in Florida, that would be the best. However, if you find someone living in New York, that's fine too, because at this point the position is remote. Though if they ever wanted people back in the office, the person would have to really move to Florida. So when I called her, thinking she was living in New York, asked her if she was open to an opportunity, started talking about the job. She was like, Renee, this sounds so amazing, but I have something I have to tell you. I said, what's that? She said, I recently moved to Florida. I thought I was going to fall off my chair. Because I'm like, and where in Florida? And it was 40 minutes from.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was serendipitous. It was amazing. And she was so excited. We submitted her, the client interviewed her, loved her, and she's starting in 2 weeks.
Love it.
Yeah, she's
The magic.
I know, it's amazing. So again, reasons why to work with a recruiter. We may not have the job today for you, but we may have a job for you tomorrow, a year.
It's true.
And it's just a matter of keeping in touch.
Yes, I'm having that right now with a like head of growth, like an executive position for one of our clients that we've hired a few people for, and I've been pipeline like I've spoke to this candidate for since I started with us, like I think January of 2024. So I started in December, November of 2023, and it's just the beginning of obviously this search, but like I've been holding on to this candidate and I think it's a very good fit. So going exactly to what you're saying, you need to always hold those really special candidates that you're like, there's something about you and I know I could figure it out for you when that right role comes.
Right.
And it's just that Rolodex that you're like, pick up the phone. Hey, does this work?
Right. Which is why it's good if you work with a recruiter, again, it's free.
Right.
Why not? And we're all about confidentiality here.
It's true.
Yes, and because you never know.
There's something to say about candidates that really respect what we do because they acknowledge the work that we do. And I think that is always when you kind of have that mutual respect for each other, you know that you can trust them.
Yes.
And that we have their back, but they also know that we're the experts.
Right.
So like, let us kind of guide you through this. And the best thing that you can do is just interview well, be yourself. I always tell my candidates, just be yourself, be transparent, be honest, because you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you.
Yes, I say the same.
But at the same time, like let us do our work and let us, represent you and make sure that we're able to kind of ensure this is a good fit for you.
And same on the opposing side is
Correct.
For the client, making sure we're helping them as well.
Yeah, of course.
For people that don't know our niche, what type of companies do we recruit for?
I would say the benefit of Walrath Recruiting comparatively to say other organizations that are out there that also, are in the industry is that we are a full service recruiting, staffing, and executive search firm on top of also providing HR solutions. And with that, I think that is what kind of separates us from the pack, and also the fact that first and foremost, I think there's something to say about being a woman-owned business. For some organizations, that really matters to them. I'm not saying for all organizations, but for some, it does make a difference of why other women entrepreneurs come to, like, there's all the time you're in meetings with other women entrepreneurs that are just starting their teams and they want to just have that help or that support or that person on the other side to be like, what was it like for you? I mean, I know you've helped other people get that WBE certification before.
Yes.
Like, that's huge.
Well, just sharing knowledge,
Yeah,
what I experienced and how to help them, right?
And that's what shows a true leader because some people don't share. They want to, that what's mine is mine.
Right.
And I don't want to impart that. But a true leader does share. They share their knowledge and their expertise. And I think when you keep that door open, there's a level of what you share and what you don't share. But I think the fact that you've done that, again, shows that we care about what we do and what we say. We stand by that, our values,
Our core values are integrity, honesty, and perseverance.
Grit.
Yeah, definitely grit. We got to have grit. Yeah, absolutely. The companies that, we don't really have a target. It's more of pretty much it's open target, who's hiring.
Right.
So they could be large companies, mid-sized, small companies. As far as industries, we handle many industries because we have recruiters designated to specific industries. So whether it be manufacturing, construction, accounting, finance, tech, sales, we're fortunate because we have a really good team. It's not as though we have a specific niche for the company.
We're in the business of people.
Yes, that's true.
We're all about finding the right fit, ranging, it could be entry-level positions, those that are coming right out of college, all the way up to executive search, And I think that is another differentiator for us, is the fact that we specialize. We're probably well known for more of the executive search, contrary to, say, the staffing or just the direct placement or contract. But do you see, or do you think there's a different approach to working with executives?
Absolutely. When we do executive search, especially if I'm working with a candidate, I prefer to work with the candidate. How do I say this? I don't really prefer that the candidate's working with multiple recruiters on the executive search level, because
Makes
at that
sense.
level, a lot of times we're going out and we're marketing the person to various companies. And if they're using multiple recruiters for executive search positions, C-level roles, it could get complicated. So I prefer personally to have a one-on-one relationship with the person, so that I really get to know them and understand what they want. So then when we're marketing to clients, and full disclosure, we would talk about that. Like, what clients do you want to work for, or companies you want to work for, or what companies don't you want to work for? Because that's going to help us understand them a little bit more, and which is different for like an entry level position. Obviously, typically we don't disclose who our clients are, it's just a different way that we go to market for them.
What would you say is more difficult, a entry level, mid level candidate, or an executive?
Good question. They're all difficult because it depends on the person.
That's true.
And it depends on the client, right?
Right.
So they all can be difficult. And from the perspective of the client, when we're doing executive search, most of the time it's confidential. So it can be a little bit, it's actually difficult at times, because the candidate usually wants to know who the client is.
Right.
And a lot of times they don't want their resume shared, right?
Correct.
So we have to then coach the client along and saying, there are times we have to disclose who you are,
Right.
so that we get the buy-in by the candidate.
I think that's why succession planning is so important, because a lot of the times it's a succession plan of when a C-suite or an executive is exiting, of why a client's coming to us.
That's true.
It's not like a CEO is just gonna like quit their job. It's usually that they're retiring or they're exiting onto something new.
And thanks for bringing that up, Chris, because we've seen that more in the past year or two, where
Right.
there was no succession plan, and with people calling us and saying, "Oh, our CFO, our COO is retiring next month," which we can't find a. I mean,
Right.
we can say we can't, but to find that number one A player for
Absolutely.
that role, we've got to make sure we got enough time to
Find the person.
find the right person. Not only that, but the person at that level typically has to give 4 weeks notice.
If not more.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Right.
So, yes, yes, you're right. We're seeing a lot of that.
Which I think is why, for us, figuring out how do we play to our strengths and how do we utilize kind of our journey together of what comes in the future, of like our succession plan, me to you, as well as our team, and including them on a lot of these conversations is so important,
Yes, you're
because
right.
we all need to know where we all kind of sit on where the future of our business is going.
Right.
And I think our team is very aligned,
Yes.
and we're all very motivated and connected to what we've, connected on and created together.
True. And other companies, I think, should follow suit, right?
Yeah. I think that's why we're able to provide a lot of value, is because our team really cares about what we do. And when we work with our clients, they feel that energy from our team.
That's true.
Because we're there with them.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we're finding the right. We don't want a call saying that it didn't work out
Right.
from the client or the candidate.
Correct.
It does eat at us as recruiters when
Right.
we weren't able to provide them top value. So I think, again, just kind of reestablishes that commitment that we have to our clients.
And candidates.
Correct.
Right.
So let's talk about our core values. I know we kind of briefly went over what they were, but I guess would you see them really implemented into our services?
As you know, there's times we're interviewing people that most of the time their employers don't know they're looking.
Correct.
So confidentiality is extremely important, which is why having integrity and honesty and is important,
Yeah, of course.
which is part of our core values.
I think the grit part is a big thing that I just want to call out, only because we're all motivated to making sure that it's the right fit.
Yes.
And that, we want to be there.
And we can't give up. So
Right.
that's with perseverance with our core values.
Right.
So just, making sure that we're always making sure that we're finding the right fit for the client and making sure that the candidate's happy as well.
Yeah.
So that's how I think our core values, I know that's just how our core values play into when we're recruiting for our clients. Looking ahead, where do you see our company going in the next, say, 5 years?
Well, I see you really starting to take a step back, and I see you maybe investing your time in the other passions that you have, which, are still to be defined. But I see our company still thriving. I see our company maybe being a little bit bigger. And what I mean by bigger is just more influence, and just not just the capital region maybe, but maybe outside the capital region. I know we work with other clients in other states, but having a more presence maybe in Western New York, or maybe so much in the city. We have some clients there too, but just really honing in on our craft. Like, I think people really know us for what they know us for, but I think there's even so much more that we can really kind of solidify and really market ourselves even better. And have more of an audience in a broader scope. What that looks like, I still think, is to be determined, but I just see expansion and growth in the right way, and not just to do it just to say, oh, we're here and we're there and our name's everywhere, but really specific kind of areas of expertise that we have.
Yes, and this goes back to see how your marketing, your creativity,
Right.
You're the I want to say very thoughtful, and where I sometimes have to reel you in with
Right.
budgeting.
I'm the visionary.
Yes, and I'm the executor. So,
Exactly.
yes, so that's why it works.
Right.
Yeah,
But that's where I would see us going. I mean, 5 years is a long time, but also a short time.
I know.
I mean, in 2 years, a year and a half, we've had growth, but 5 years, I mean, I really see us as a company that people not just look for us to hire. I think they look for us for advisement.
Yes.
I think they look for us for content and knowledge. They look at us as experts, truly, where they're coming to us, and we don't really necessarily have to go to them. There's a flow of just that intelligence,
Right.
in an authentic way.
Yes, knowing that we're the experts in our field.
Yes.
Which I think they already know that.
Yeah, but in a way that is just even more better. That's just, I don't know if you can get better, but you can't be content. You know what I mean? You always have to strive for being better, stronger, whatever, more resilient. And I'm excited about it.
Good, me too. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Is there a quote or a motto that guided you through your career?
Yes. My mother always taught me to always do the right thing. So I would say that would be a motto that I live by. Yeah, that's what about you?
I think for me, I once was at breakfast with my partner, and we held the door for this man, and he was like, you know what? It's really nice. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And that I've carried with me for about a year now. And I think it's so true. It's like being empathetic and just caring and being a good human goes a lot farther than bringing ego to the table. Sometimes it's actually better that you just kind of let things play out.
Yes. And you've taught me that, actually.
Yeah. And to listen.
Yes.
Listen to each other and,
Yes.
and have empathy towards people's situations. You don't know what people are going through.
Absolutely. I know.
You don't know personally, professionally, whatever. And so it's kind of just better to not interject and kind of just take a seat and hear it out and listen and then respond. Taking time to actually intake information, take a breather, and then respond has been very useful for me. To end on a fun note, what is one thing people might be surprised to know about you outside of work?
That I actually am a good cook and a really good baker. I actually make a killer banana bread, and you know that.
It's true. I also think for me, people will be surprised that you're actually super hilarious and funny. That you're like kind of a like your humor is dry humor, but like it's my favorite because it's like you, I would say, aren't as serious as people think you are.
People think I'm serious.
No, I think they kind of not. I wouldn't say intimidating, but I would say people always. It's very, you know, maybe dynamic or black and white or bottom line. Which there are scenarios where you have to think about the bottom line. Like I'm not saying there's a time and place, but I think the majority when you're out of the office, like you're either at the track or you're at SPAC or you're in scenarios and environments that are very culturally driven and where you're able to bring your personal character to it. I think.
I
You know
know
what I
what
mean?
you're saying because I'm very serious in the office.
Oh yes.
Yes. There's no games.
Correct.
Serious. It's work.
Right.
And then outside the office, I'm like a chameleon, I guess I
Right.
would say. Outside the office, I'm different.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of clients or people in your network that when we go out, there's a different side that you play to it. And I think that's always like really funny to see as when I'm with you, it's like, oh, like you're showing that different side of you because I think that's what makes you, you. You know what I mean? So my challenge to you would say bring that more to your conversations with your clients and bring more of that authentic Reneeisms of your humor and character because I think that was what I've learned is being authentic to who I am and just knowing that not necessarily to go off on like a whole like DEI thing because I don't think that's really like what I'm trying to get at here, but more so being a queer person is important for me to share that and for me to be honest with my clients and my candidates of if they share with me about them also in the community or if they have a member of their family because we get a lot of information from people, sometimes too much information.
Yes.
But I think showcasing my identity actually kind of warms people up to us as an agency. Having people that are international, we have a member of our team that is from a different country and that we've sponsored, and that also showcases again like we welcome everybody.
Yes.
And we want to work with all types of people.
That's true. That's true.
And the key to what we do is finding the right fit though. So we can all have different skills and experiences, but at the end of the day, our job is to find the right candidate for the right role and ensuring qualifications match that. And so I think what has kind of gotten twisted a bit is kind of, people only thinking about like certain metrics or genders or identifying factors that have to be hit and you have to send a certain amount of whatever it may be, where while it's true you want to make sure there's a diversity to the balance of who's who or what skills are which, but at the end of the day, you hire the right person.
That's right. Not just for their gender or
Ethnicity.
race, ethnicity, exactly. We want to just make sure that it's the right fit.
Exactly. So I thought that's important just to talk about because I think as someone in our community, people ask me all the time, like, is it weird? Do you feel uncomfortable being out as a professional? And I don't. I think that's what makes me special.
Right.
Because I can resonate with different perspectives. And also I understand the sensitivity that it takes when you're representing people from neurodivergent or veterans or whatever it may be. I take it very seriously and I intake that information and I don't share that with my clients, of course, but I know how to approach and coach candidates or clients, in those things. Because I've had situations where clients like, I only want to hire X gender or I only want to hire this. And I'm like, honestly, you can't. I know in goodwill, you're trying to promote, opportunity for all, but that's actually like reverse discrimination. And at the end of the day, you need to kind of take that out. The biases that I was talking about earlier, you need to kind of extract that and really hone in on, okay, like, yes, like let's look at a different array of people. But at the end of the day, let's break it down.
But again, you're educating them.
Right.
And sharing your knowledge.
Exactly.
Not really telling them what to do, but just advising them.
Right.
And educating them.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do outside the office that people would be surprised?
Well, I love plants
Yes, you are so good at plants.
I
Any plant I touch dies, but when mine die, you revive them.
Exactly. Yeah, I love just like I have a ton of houseplants. I have over 23 different varieties of plants. I'm starting to get into gardening, which is very different than putting it in a pot and watering it. And so I just like seeing things grow, and I like taking things and kind of watching them kind of flourish. I think is the aspect of what I like about it. And I also, a new thing that I've started with Brian, who's my partner, is antiquing and kind of bringing things from like the past and bringing them to the future. So again, like kind of putting the shine on something maybe a little bit dusty, but kind of like looking at it from a different perspective. That's what I like to do outside of the office, because I think in the office, I'm also very strategic and serious about like what I'm trying to accomplish. It's very boom, 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 very structured. But outside of work, I like to kind of be a little bit more carefree and not as serious. And so bringing a little bit more of that sass and personality that is more fun, I think is what I like to do when I'm not in the office. So if we could give one piece of advice to anyone considering working with family, what would it be?
To create boundaries, to be obviously transparent and honest, and yeah, I would say that, because I mean I've seen other family businesses not survive. I say they survive the business, but not the family.
Right.
By just not being able to delegate or really trust the family member to bring the company to another level.
Makes sense. I think for me, it's really, I think I've said it a few times, but just have fun and be honest and just always remain curious, and not to bring it where it's like an ego battle, because you are family. So, there's a respect level there. You don't want to lose touch of like, they're still your parent or your brother or your sister or whatever it is. They're your family. That's blood. They're not going anywhere.
That's
so
right.
It's like you have to remember you're going to carry that out of the office.
Right.
And so when you say certain things, you still have to remember number one thing, which is professionalism.
Yeah.
And would you say this? You've taught me this. Would you say this to a boss that, if it wasn't you, would I have said it to my other bosses? And that makes me think about it, because there are sometimes I think that we get comfortable and we're saying things, but you're right. Like, I need to remember I'm in a professional setting.
Right. I am your mother outside of here.
Correct.
But I'm
also my boss.
Yeah, inside the office. Well, the same too. So there's times I'm sure I've had to take a step back and think before I say something to you, because you're my son.
Energy.
Yeah, energy. We always want good energy in the office. Yeah, I remember that day coming in my office. I wasn't having a good morning, and you walked right in my office, and you're like, "Okay, bad energy right now. I'm going to take a step out, and when you're feeling better, I'll come back." And then I just started laughing. It's like it just eased the tension was gone. It was
You got to call it out.
Yes.
And then you can move on.
That's right.
Can't hold grudges.
No.
Can't hold bad energy in. It's only going to affect you in other ways.
Exactly.